Hello, and thanks for joining the Tahoe Regional Young Professionals, or TRIP, in our candidate interview series. We'll be chatting with each of the candidates in the South Lake Tahoe City Council election and sharing video footage with you all in the effort to engage our community so you can make informed decisions in the upcoming November 4th election. We want to take a moment just to let you know, the viewers, that TRIP is an independent organization, and although we do get involved with community issues, including local politics, every effort's made to deliver timely, unbiased information. So I'm Jenna Palacio, here with candidate Wendy David. It's very nice to have you here. We have a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
So let's get started.
Sure.
Great, and thanks again for joining us today.
You're welcome.
The Tahoe Regional Young Professionals represents a generation that want to make their future here in South Lake Tahoe. How do you plan to help constituents who are trying to follow their careers and raise a family here?
Well, first of all, I have been so excited the last few years because I have seen just young professionals coming back to Tahoe, and not coming back just to live, but coming back to make a difference in Tahoe. And as you know, I've been on the school board for many years, and we're starting to see that their children also come into our school district, and they're wanting to do the same thing within the school district. So part of my desire to be, or a lot of my desire to be on the city council, is to make South Lake Tahoe the very best community for you that it has been for me. I have seen some decline in our how we look physically to tourists. I have seen some decline in our council's really their efforts and where they put forward their most of their efforts haven't always been for our long-term vision. And I think for our young professionals and for our next generation, we need to have long-term vision planning. And I believe that that's one of the most important things that I can bring to the council. I brought it to the school district with recreating our school district for our next generations. I hope to bring it to the city for recreating our city for the next generation. And that will mean increasing our job opportunity, increasing our economic vitality, changing more to a recreational community, and I'm so thrilled about what we're doing educationally. So those are some of the places that I think will really benefit the next generation that's going to raise their families and really contribute to Lake Tahoe.
Fantastic. Coming back to that generation and really our community as a whole, I'm sure you noticed in South Lake Tahoe's voter record, it's just at an all-time low, especially in the last election. As a candidate, how do you view our town's voter apathy, and why is it important for people to participate in this election specifically?
Well, first of all, I can't even understand it. When I first had the ability to vote, I voted, and I have never missed an opportunity to vote in my entire voting career. And it's hard for me to understand why anyone would not vote. It is such a gift that we have here in our nation to choose who you want to represent you in a leadership capacity. And so I think it's so important. I have seen the apathy as well. I think often, or what I hear often, which I don't understand, is it never makes a difference. It doesn't make a difference if I vote or not, because everyone's going to do exactly what they want to do. And that is such a fallacy. We know, or I know, and I think you do too because you're very involved, that we can make a difference. We can change cultures, but we need that voter to pay attention and to exercise their right to vote. I have told many people at the city council, during this campaign, I really respect if they have another vote even. But the important thing is that they exercise their votes so that we can have the very best city council that we can for our community. I really hope that even this video and even us talking today maybe will encourage some of those that don't always take it seriously to get out there and vote.
That's you if you're watching this.
That is you. I know we have had a community that changes often. We have some transiency, and we always have. So perhaps some of it is that people don't feel as attached to the community as their home community. But if you live here, if you have a job here, if you recreate here, if you attend schools here, whatever you do in our community, it's all linked to to who you have in your leadership roles. So.
And coming up, this election, we have 7 candidates running for 3 seats. Why is this election? If there's somebody out there watching that maybe they haven't voted before, maybe they are new to town or just registered or finally ready to get involved. What really stands out? It's important for them to participate in this election.
Yeah. I love that question. Thanks. It's a great question. We are really on the cusp of some great change. And we will have choices depending on who they vote into the city council. We will have choices going forward to be progressive with our community and with the choices we make. We will have a choice to perhaps continue on the same path that we're on, which is a choice as well. We also are at a cusp with what we can afford to do as a community and making choices for our long-term vision. We have a very transparent and progressive city manager who I think with the right counsel, we can continue on in just a great trajectory of what we will see in the next 4 years. So I'm sure it's always important. I do feel like this city council campaign and election is vitally important because we are right there ready to climb up with new projects. We have the Tahoe Valley Area Plan, we have the Loop Road, we have the recreational plan. We have many big plans going forward that will need council support, council leadership, and they will need us to really give attention to our budget and the planning and the funding for these projects.
Absolutely, a lot on the table coming up here.
Yes.
So moving on, South Lake Tahoe's unemployment rate is slowly improving, but how can City Council address our town's underemployment? How can we bring more career opportunities, not just jobs, but career opportunities to local professionals with the right experience or skill set?
Well, first of all, I think professionals will want to come here when they see that we're doing our job. When everybody does their job together, they're going to look at South Lake Tahoe and say, wow, and we're seeing this in education. We are now seeing people that are looking at our schools and saying, wow, South Tahoe High School is amazing, and what it offers for career technical education is fabulous. We want to bring our family here. We want to be a part of this community. I think if we can expand that to other areas, recreationally, educationally at our local college, expanding and offering even 4-year degrees in some areas, that will help. I think that as we also create a community, we will always be a tourist community. That is who we are. That is one of the things that we promote. If we can create something that others want to be part of, we will have more jobs. We will not have, like we have now, this community that between weekends we just die, which really contributes to our unemployment rate. We have a very large portion of our population that are seasonal job workers, that during the high season they may work 40 hours a week. During the low season they may only work 15 or 20. And this hurts our economy, and it hurts us as a community. So I know that I'm only touching the surface when I answer this question of what we can do, but I think those are some of the areas that we are already starting with that we need to concentrate on even more.
Yeah, definitely a community of second and third job families.
It is.
So.
I work with a lot of those families with some of the things I do in the social advocacy area, and they work very hard. I do not want to say that we have a group of people that aren't trying to stay here, but it is difficult when you have no benefits. You have to cobble together maybe 2 or 3 jobs for a full-time job.
Yeah, and people do it every day.
Yeah.
So moving on, Wendy, we wanted to address the last forum that you participated in. And at this recent candidate forum, a question was asked pertaining to engaging the Latino community in local policy making. And later on, maybe not necessarily this question, but the forum as a whole was publicly referred to as racist following the event. And we're wondering, do you think that forum being called racist is an indicator of racial tensions, or maybe a disconnect in South Lake Tahoe?
I do not. I was surprised at that comment that was made. I don't think the question was racist at all. I think a few of the answers might have been construed that way by some people sitting there, which gave rise to that comment. I did not get an opportunity to answer that question, so I'm glad that you brought it up. You know, our Latino community is such a vital part of our community. In our school district, we have, I think, around 40–45% of our students are Latino, and they are bringing so much diversity to our school district and to our community. When I moved here 40 years ago, we had no diversity, and it was actually one of the things that my husband and I thought, do we really want to raise our family in a community that's not diverse? Because the nation we live in, the world that we live in, has so much diversity. So I believe that we do need to, though, look at this population and say, what would their needs be so that they can improve their quality of life, just as we all want to experience a high and rich quality of life. And I do believe that giving better job opportunities, better career job opportunities, making sure our community college offers career tech education. Many of these families don't have the reserves to be able to go off the hill for college. So they come to the community college, but then perhaps they can't go to get their bachelor's. So letting them get their bachelor's here. At the city level, really integrating a Latino voice, encouraging our Latino Affairs Commission, giving them whatever support they need so that their voice is heard. I would have been thrilled if there had been a Latino City Council member. We are really looking for that in all our leadership, and that's why through the California Voting Rights Act, our school district, our college district, our water district all went to districts so that we could encourage that Latino voice to be heard more strongly. So this is who we are. We're a rich, diverse community, and anything that we can do to encourage that, celebrate that, and help us to all improve our quality of life is what I believe in.
Good. Moving on to some development questions. The Highway 50 revitalization plan, or Loop Road, if that's approved to move forward by the City Council, how would you work with your other council members to implement it? And how would you address some of the concerns about displaced residents?
Well, first of all, I think a City Council's role, once it is voted on and moving forward, of course, isn't the implementation. I think that our role then will be to be that positive voice. And once you've made a vote as a City Council, regardless of what diverse views we have brought, it will be the council's job to act as one on behalf of the city in all aspects to promote this project and to listen to your citizens as we go forward, but with a strong voice. Once you've made a decision, then you're an advocate for that decision. My concern or my view on displaced residents is this would be incredibly difficult if it was my home, incredibly difficult. We do have laws in place. I do believe in the laws. I believe that you work very hard to meet to answer every question, to meet every concern, to work with our residents, because that's who we represent, so that if the Loop Road goes forward, it could be the least painful as possible. And I do realize that sometimes moving forward, there is pain, and I think we'd have to work very closely with these residents. But I do believe that the law is there as one of the tools that you use as you move forward with progress.
The concerns about the displaced residents, I mean, there seems to be a lack of low-income housing in South Lake Tahoe. Do you think, additional projects like the Aspens, for example, would help alleviate some of those concerns?
I would imagine it would. I actually am not aware today of how many openings there are in lower income versus the displacement that may occur. But I think as we move forward, that probably would be a number one priority, is what actually will happen. Each one of these people is an individual person, a family, a homeowner, and taking each one of those individually and saying, what exactly do you need, and what will happen if you do need to find another place to live. I've been very impressed with the low-income housing. Through a nonprofit I work with, we provide crisis funding for low-income families, and they've been a great addition to our community with new living arrangements that give people with low income pride in where they live and pride in being a part of this community. So I do believe in the value of providing low-income housing.
What would your decision-making process be like for the redevelopment of the South Lake Tahoe Airport?
My decision-making process is probably always the same for anything. I would imagine, or in my mind, a decision-making process would be first many study sessions where we invite our entire community, we invite those people, we become informed as a council and as a community on what our options might be. And then we also have staff members that are bringing options to us on redevelopment and what that would look like. We then look at the fiscal impact. We look at grants or partners that might be helping us on this. We look at whether it be fiscally a win for us as a city, if this would bring in additional income that lets us do some of our other projects. And this takes time, and after a very thoughtful process, I would imagine there would be a project that would come forward to the council. But that wouldn't be until we really have looked at this seriously and decided that this was worth the effort and this would be a big plus for our city. And then it would come forward, and then the council would debate and vote and implement. And so I don't know if that's the question you were answering, but that's usually my decision-making process. I'm a very thoughtful, thorough processor, and I always have a screen. At the school district, our screen for every decision-making was, is that in the best interest of our students? For our city, it would be, is this in the best interest of our city and our residents and our visitors? And those three, taking those three things into account.
A three-tiered approach to that. Excellent. Well, we're moving right along here, so I'd like to ask you some follow-up questions before we get to our wrap-up here. Recently, the City Council voted to delay the final phase of the plastic bag ban here in South Lake Tahoe, and there's legislation on the table for California to pass a statewide ban on plastic bags. How would you recommend the City Council roll that out after the bag ban's recent opposition?
Roll out the California decision?
Yeah, statewide plastic bag ban, just in light of some of the recent opposition on it and the council's vote to delay it.
Yeah, thanks. I would hope that that the council would ask for it to be brought immediately back to the agenda, and just revisit that again. And if it needed a new motion, a new proposal, whatever it needed to then enact that in support of the state of California, of course, but also recognizing that we can be a leader, not a follower, but a leader in environmental issues for our city, how we also feel about our lake, about our streets, about our community. And you know, it's kind of a it's one of those bellwether things that it's not just about the bags. It's about how we define ourselves as a city and how we define ourselves with what we want to see here in the future. So I would hope it would come right back to the city. Yeah, quickly.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of statewide legislation that's being discussed that could impact us, that we at a local level have been dealing with. Also, along that line, there's a Senate bill that could potentially make our community college it would bring in a 4-year plan. How could City Council work to make sure that Lake Tahoe Community College was one of those 15 California campuses that received funding for that program?
Well, I think we can advocate. Advocate. And there's so many ways you can advocate. You can write your legislature. You can visit your legislature. You can work collaboratively with the college. I believe we have a huge opportunity here. I was just talking with Kindred Maria, the president. We were talking about Snow Globe, which comes up and brings, you know, like 10,000 or however, maybe even more. But she said so often young students that come from other areas say, if this was a 4-year college, I would love to be here. And from my point of view, I would love to be known as a college town. And so I think just advocacy at every level, and also partnerships. And we've talked about that before, but the public, the private, you know, not just with the college, but with maybe with other bigger private industries here. Not that we have a lot, but working together, always working together to say, this is how we want to define ourselves, and never letting go of that dream. When we brought a community college here, it was difficult 40 years ago. We were a very small community. Look where we are now, and look where we can be.
A lot of progress made there.
A lot of progress.
Great. Let's see. Well, your closing question we wanted to ask you, Wendy, when you envision South Lake Tahoe, and close your eyes and think about what South Lake Tahoe is like in 5 years, what do you see?
In 5 years, I see the Y in particular as you drive into South Lake Tahoe. I see it very welcoming. And when you come in as a visitor or as a resident, there's going to be places where it's, gosh, we've arrived. Let's stop here and let's check out what South Lake Tahoe is going to offer. So you might have something right there at the Y that tells you, well, if you want to bike, you can do this. If you want to do this, you know, if you want to be out on our lake, we offer this. I see it with small boutique coffee shops and places that is just a welcoming, defining our community from the moment you arrive. And as you drive down Highway 50, I see that there are businesses that are profitable, but they also have a really nice facade to show as we drive through, and people that are going to say, wow, this is a wonderful community. I can tell that it is a place where I'd want to live, but it also, as I drive through, it looks so much like a place that I'm so happy I chose to visit. And that means that we'll have the ability to walk through the city. It'll have some green belt areas that is now in the plan for the Y. I envision that what we have started with, you know, planting actually green things on Highway 50, they'll be 5 years bigger and will look even more lush. I think it's exciting for both residents and for Tahoe, and I think as you get close to State Line, that will be even more vibrant and a real visitor hub for everyone, where they can walk, they can enjoy, they can be inside, they can be outside. And I think we can do that with public and private partnerships.
Working together.
Yeah.
That's great. Perfect. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap this interview up. Let's see here. We want to always be a bridge to our community. Encourage you to keep in touch with TRIP on Facebook and also at TahoeTrip.org. Thanks again for watching, and remember, your vote matters, so please register. Encourage your friends, family, coworkers to register and let your voices be heard this November 4th.